Hey and welcome to Throne and Liberty. So here I want to cover gear. What should you really be doing with it? You're going to obtain some while leveling up, and you might be unsure. Should I be enchanting it, leveling up? What should I be doing with transfer? What should I be doing with traits? Ultimately, let's cover the basics so you don't run into any pitfalls. The first pointer is don't be afraid to just level up your green gear. You can max it out just fine. The same goes with blue in most cases. Don't worry at all about what you're actually leveling up. Just get it maxed out. Only by the time you start getting purple gear does it really matter. However, if you do have the luxury of choice, try and choose the ones based on the stats you need. Attack stats if you're doing damage, protection stats if you need defensiveness, and otherwise definitely prioritize upgrading that weapon to the maximum as soon as you can. So yes, do not fear spending those upgrade materials, your blue ones and green ones, to get all of those weapons, armor and accessories to their maximum. The reason behind this is because you can always go and transfer all the XP which you spent leveling up those lower ranks of items to the new rank. Like these green boots which we leveled up to level 1. That XP we put into it can now go into these new blue boots that we got. That's going to be exactly the same when you're going from your blue to your purple. And even if you get a new better item on the same quality like blue, we can trade all of the XP we spent on the previous item and put it into the new item and get it to exactly the same level as our other item. So yeah, if you end up coming across a new item that you want better, you're not wasting anything by upgrading them now, even if they got some trash stats. So with that aside, what should you be looking out for with regards to the trait system? Well, in most cases, you can just not worry about it, at least until you're getting to purple gear. Traits are like the endgame min-maxing. You're going to be spending a lot of time and a lot of resources to get the traits you want, and then to level up those traits. Like here, getting cooldown speed. Blue gear has 3 levels per trait, and purple gear has 4 levels per trait. Leveling up a trait simply requires a material which is going to be of the same type. So weapons with weapons, armor with armor, rings with rings, boots with boots. And then it just needs to have the same trait of which you're trying to level up. So these daggers, which we want to level up the trait with, has that hit chance. So does this bow, and we can use that bow to level up the trait on these daggers, just spending a little bit of the currency there. Now the hit chance is 40. Then to unlock new traits on an item, you're going to need duplicates of items, but then with different traits. For example, this base one has max health, then this one over here has magic evasion. We can combine the two just like this, and now we have one item that has both max health and magic evasion. So that's how the gear system works in this game with the traits. So you will be farming a lot of duplicates of different items in order to get your traits up. However, it's not something you really need to worry about until getting to purple equipment. And that is because the traits of, say, your blue items do not actually carry over when you transfer a blue item over into a purple item. You will get compensated for it by getting some blessings, which will make it a little bit easier to max out the traits on your new item. But it's not substantial enough that it can end up not really worth bothering maxing out the traits on, say, your blue item. Unless you feel you're going to be stuck there for a long time and you, say, enjoy farming the blue items. So yes, you could just leave those traits until you get to the purple items. But just be aware you will get a bit of extra value for every trait you have put on your item. So it can be worth it if you do get a bunch of duplicates, throw those items together and get the combined traits on them. You can also say dismantle items, and the more trait points they have on them, like these permafrost shoes have a magic endurance and then like 2 magic evasion, you can see you'll get extra powder for that, rather than just like these boots with only 1 trait point in it will only get like 10 magic powder and a chance at the epic. So it is worth combining items of the same type. So yes, this game will revolve around a lot of just farming the exact same item. There is more to it with regards to extracting traits, selling those traits, crafting duplicates, but in general, you're going to have to just farm items to get those traits, to get duplicates, to be able to make crafting blueprints like your lithographs. And so it's all going to end up requiring you to get a ton of this gear. Even though it might not seem the most valuable, whenever you obtain a new item, it's going to have a random trait unlocked. That trait might be valuable, especially if you need it for your character to put onto new items to upgrade them. The last pointer would be how to get all that gear then. If I'm hunting for duplicates of blue items, where should I get them? Well, one area is co-op dungeons. Let's say I want multiple of these steel flurry crossbows and I want to try max out the traits on it. Well, I could farm this dungeon. There is a limit though. These contract tokens, you only get so many of them per day. You can go to your map, you can check all of these different areas. For example, this shadowed crypt, you can see the monster info of the enemies within those crypts. You can click on the monster and you can see the available items that that monster can drop. There can be sometimes spawn conditions with them as well, suggested player counts on beating up those monsters, and you can just see throughout all of the areas. If we're just say in this location, you're going to find these monsters and you can see exactly which ones they're dropping. For example, there's this crossbow here. I could farm these guys endlessly and get a bunch of these duplicates of crossbows. I will warn you though, the drop rate is super low, probably like less than 1%. So you'd have to kill like 100 guys to get one of them. I have found if you don't have a lot of time, it can just be worth doing these dungeons. Again, ideally do the higher level ones if you possibly can. Again, you will need to get to 1600 combat power, which we do when we have everything equipped. So in conclusion, do not be afraid to just upgrade any green equipment, upgrade any blue equipment, and then you will work towards epic equipment where yes, it will matter. You'll want to follow a build and a guide of which epic equipment to go for, which traits to get on that epic equipment. If you're not sure about the traits, just leave them till later. They can be quite useful, but not worth investing an absolute ton in until you know what you're doing. And again, definitely upgrade these items while you can, particularly your weapons. We'll go with like this weapon set here, and we can get a pretty massive boost to our power output by doing so. You get an increase to your base damage, and you get a few extra stat boosts on that item as well. Weapons are definitely the priority if you're focusing on your damage and heals. Again, just be aware of the transfer system. Like I can transfer any XP I put into this weapon into like this one right here. Just be aware you can only transfer one time for a weapon. I can't just upgrade lots of green weapons and transfer tons of those into one blue weapon. It doesn't work like that. Only one transfer per weapon. But yes, I could transfer, say, those daggers into some new daggers if, say, I wanted to use these instead of my older ones. It will cost you a bit though, but you will probably have more than enough of this currency at a certain point in this game. I already have over 3.8 million. You will of course get to a point where you might not have any more growth stones like we don't right here to get this weapon maxed out. Well, this game has a very cool system. You can just click on it and you can click the exclamation mark and it'll show you exactly where all of them are coming from. Like this tower, if you've not already done it, you can complete it for those. You can defeat all of these bosses. You can do your codexes if you haven't already, but ultimately crafting can be a main source, especially when you do your contracts. You make them right here. You have two options, using powder, your rare Rubik's ore, and this polished crystal. Or you can use your growth stones of the previous rank to make the new ones. These materials right here generally are coming from your contracts. For example, here, level 50 contract is giving us that powder, is giving us that ore, and then we just need the polished crystal. Again, you can click on it even in this menu, go to the exclamation mark, see all right here, and you will find that your guild merchant will sell you them. You just have to donate here, you'll get that currency for the store, and you could buy those. I personally have enough just by leveling to make like another 30 of these, and that should be enough to get these weapons maxed out. And there we go. We are kitted with 2 level 9 weapons. We'll do a bit more upgrading of our other blue items here. Again, don't worry so much if, for example, this bracelet doesn't have the best stats we need right now. If we get one in the future that's a bit better, we can always transfer all of the XP in this right over. And if it's still a blue one, then it will be a maxed out blue after the transfer. With that, maxing out all of my blue equipment there, you can see we're at nearly 2,000 combat power already. I've not spent a dime on the game. That was everything free for upgrading. Did not have to do much grinding whatsoever. Just leveled up my character yesterday to 50. So you should be near enough at this level too once you get here. So don't be afraid to upgrade this gear again. You can always transfer all the XP that you invest in it to a new gear piece if you get something better. Again, that's the main thing I wanted to highlight, and to give you a little bit of an understanding what the heck's going on with the trait system. You can optimize with it, but ultimately I wouldn't worry so much until you start getting purple gear. And at that point, be conscious of it. Certain traits will be very expensive and very worth holding on to any gear pieces you obtain. Don't go trashing anything without doing your research. So thanks all for watching. Hopefully this is somewhat insightful, and if it was, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.